word culture. The word culture means concern for others is culture. Concern for others is culture. And therefore, apart from music and dance and art and literature and painting, sculpturing is called culture. Concern for others much more important, and that's a key. That's a key element with regard to our respect, our treatment of animals. We are no concerned much. We all know people hoot the horn, make a lot of noise, park on the wrong side of the road, we speed past, they go by the left in traffic, as you can see, they pollute Mother Earth, spit on the road, dirty the road, and hundreds of things we are doing without caring for the others. So the caring and sharing with others and not hurting. That's why Baba always says, help ever, hurt never. Help ever, hurt never. He also says, don't praise me, don't pray to me, only help us others. And therefore share, care, be concerned with others is a fundamental basis of our approach to the animal species. I begin this kind of introduction so that you will know there is a logic behind it, humanism behind it, culture behind it, spirituality behind it. I want to repeat also what is civilization. Civilization is an amalgam, an integration, an assembly, a synthesis of religiosity, spirituality, philosophy, mysticism, yoga, meditation, ethics, morals, values, view of life, way of life, customs, traditions, acharas, samskaras, beliefs, observances, norms, standards of a society in respect of transactions, in respect of relationship, in respect of consumption of anything that we do. The whole lot of it together is what is called a civilization. A civilization will change. Some are eternal, some are time and space specific, which you mean location specific, time specific, which have to change. You can't do what you can do in India, you can't go to America and do that. When you go to Singapore, you can't do what you will do in India. So we have to have a certain kind of adaptation, adjustment, accommodation, and to suit the conditions. For instance, now everybody is different, and with respect to animals, as far as animals are concerned, I start by saying civilization started with domestication of animals. Civilization started when the cow was domesticated. It gave milk, and from the milk we made curd, we made butter, etc., etc. And the cow is the only animal which will never hurt anybody, which never wants anything. It has to be given food, and it doesn't, what you call, it's very sattvic, very calm, quiet. It gives everything. It grazes in public land in olden times. Now, of course, we have to give them grass separately, commercial feed separately. In the ancient world, the Maharshis and Rishis and Munis and Sadhus used to live on the cow. Why? The cow will go to public land. At that time, the population of India might have been only 5 million or 10 million. Now it's 1,000 million now. Say 5,000, 50,000 years ago, it must have been only 5 million people. And therefore, all our people were in the forest area, and when they domesticated the cow gave milk, and our rishis took fruits, vegetables, and what we call herbs, and they lived on that. And therefore they found that they got enough food for themselves without doing any work at all, except milking the cow, that's all, looking after the cow and protecting the cow from being devoured by other animals was the only thing they had to do. And therefore they got lot of leisure. With that leisure, they went in speculation, for hypothesis, for imagination, for illumination, for meditation, for yoga, and sitting quiet, and they were able to control their senses, and they discovered the mysteries of nature, which has been converted as I mentioned just now, that 1 million pages of spiritual literature and 1 million pages of commentaries which are constantly under review, interpreted. There are 10 kinds of 10 Ramayanas. Even today in India, there are 10 or 20 types of Ramayanas in India. There are several interpretations of Bhagavad Gita, several interpretations of Bhagavatam. Everything is being interpreted, reinterpreted. If you go to Indonesia, their Ramayana is different. Our Ramayana is different. Kamba Ramayana is different from Valmiki Ramayana, from Adhyatma Ramayana of Vallathol. And therefore what I am trying to say is that you should have differences and flexibility, modernization, everything changing, you should also change. And that is another what's called applied spirituality. Nothing should go against reasoning. Nothing should go against Shastras. Einstein himself has said, religion without science is blind, and science without religion is lame. So from that point of view, our Shastras are all verifiable, experienceable, and the years to come, as George Gamow has pointed out in his book called 1, 2, 3 Infinity, that Indians have discovered many things which will be proved someday to be true as we go along. Even today, I recently heard in the TV that in American New York hospital, they are, when the operation Tacham Yora Vranimahe Gadum Yajnaya Gadum Yajnapadaye Devi Swastir Astuna Swastir Manushebhya. Like that, Vedas are chanted, Purusha Suktam is chanted, Rudran Chamagam is chanted. Even if you don't know the meaning of these things, the very word called mantra, the japa, these things have tremendous impact on the body. After all, a mantra will bring thought waves, and those thought waves will have impact. That's clearly now. Even in this room, a billion radio waves, TV waves, mobile telephone waves, microwaves, all kinds of waves are here. In this particular room I am speaking now, nobody has seen it. How can you know? As I mentioned earlier, 1/1,000,000th of a gram contains the whole design of the body, which requires 10 billion. Computers cannot do what a human embryo ovum can do. And therefore these are mysteries. That is why we say it's all God's creation. In one sense, it's almost saying we don't know. In fact, there is a beautiful story of all rishis of India going to Brahma to ask him, why did you create the world? Why did you create the devil? Why did you create evil? Why did you create dirt and filth? Why not create everybody good? On the way, they met Narada, and Narada asked them, oh great men, tapasvis, where are you going? Oh, we are going to Brahma. What for you are going? We want to ask him why he created the world. Why he created the world in this particular way, not a different way. So Narada told him, don't bother that old man. He himself doesn't know. In the same way, we also don't know. Today, I am good or bad, I am a successful or failure, I am looking like this, all determined by my previous birth. What was my previous birth was because of my previous birth. Like that, if you go behind, where was I years and years ago, millions and millions of years ago, where did it start? I do not know. Recently I had a letter from one Swamiji saying, from the time of Ramayana, you have been my devotee or follower. You are my golden child. Some Swamiji has written to me. Now, right or wrong, he has got this concept of a continuity of millions and millions of years. He has got a continuity in his mind. They are all called Trikala Jnanis. They knew past, present and future. As I mentioned to you, Bhavishya Purana has written everything, including the concept that there will be plane going from one place to the other. You can have a plane, and all the geography I mean, anatomy of the human body, they knew very well. Come back now. What I am trying to say is that there is a great body of knowledge, and the treatment to animals is one of the most important things which applied spirituality or India's Sanatana Dharma or India's concept of Chaitanya or spirit of Bhagavan resides. We all know that the cow is a friend, is always Gopala, Gopala. Krishna is known as Gopala. Every picture of Krishna you will find cow and a calf nearby. The cow Kamadhenu was worshipped in India. Gayatrim Tulasim Gangam Kamadhenu Marundadim Panjamada Smaren Nityam. One of our mothers is Kamadhenu, the cow called Kamadhenu, which Vasishtha was having. Vishwamitra wanted it. He fought a war with, and Kamadhenu is Vasishtha was helped by Kamadhenu, and later on that's the reason why Vishwamitra wanted to become a Brahmarshi like Vasishtha. Anyway, leave that out and coming back to the story. So civilization began with domestication of the cow and the bullock. What the bullock came when agriculture started. They had to plough the paddy fields. They started utilizing the bullock, and that is why Nandi, bullock and the cow became the most sacred animals of India. Bullock was used not only for ploughing but also pulling carts. Horse carts and camel carts and donkey carts came later on. The bullock was the first animal to be worshipped. That's why you got it's a Vahana of Shiva. It's a Vahana of Shiva. And cow is the friend of Sri Krishna, and the peacock of that of Subramanya. Even mouse is also given significance. It is the Vahana of Ganapati. Ganapati is maybe 3 tons, and the mouse may be only of 3 kilograms. But even then, the concept has been brought in order that we may develop a Garuda and a swan, which gives a what you call a purity, which represents purity. Is also every animal, and even Durga's Vahana is a Simha or lion, and Ayyappa Svahana is a tiger. Even buffalo is the Vahana of Dharmaraja, the god of death. Therefore, all this man-animal relationship was primary, fundamental aspect of Indian civilization. Fundamental aspect of the civilization, man and animal should coexist together without hurting each other, and limited amount. Of course, when a mosquito bites, you are going to kill it. A cockroach coming and disturbing it, you are going to kill it. I agree. But there are 3 kinds of animals: sattvic animals, rajasic animals, and what you call the jantu. Mruga means one animal which eats other animals, like a tiger or a lion which eats on the other animal. Crocodile eats other animals. Fish eats other animals. Whales eat other animals. But a cow will not eat another animal. A bullock will not eat. A buffalo will not eat. A elephant will not eat other animals. They are what you call sattvic animals, which gives a utilitarian, useful to man, and they don't hurt anybody else, and they live on vegetarian food. After all, look at an elephant, which is the biggest animal and which is very strong and which is very discriminating, and that animal will not touch meat.